Today is Saturday, August 21st, 2021. We're here with our Saturday night Sew Chat. We are now here at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, trying it out. This is our second week as a test, and we may be keeping it at 8 p.m. because now that a lot of people are going back to work, this time just works for a lot more people. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to be sewing on a project. I'm going to be chatting with you all in the chat box as well, and doing a little bit of having fun and sewing at the same time. And hopefully you're able to work on a project. I'm also live on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for 1 hour for just a live chat, not necessarily sewing. Sometimes I sew, sometimes I teach, sometimes we're just chatting, sometimes I do hauls. So it just depends on what's going on in my life on Tuesdays. So hopefully you can join us there too. If you're new to the channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell as well. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. So get all of that out the way early. Now, welcome everybody. Let's have some fun. Okay, we want to clear that. Sometimes my phone gives me notifications when I'm live, and sometimes it does not. Today it did not. So I gotta go to my channel. Cut that volume down. Forgot about that. Okay. So let's see. Let's go back up to the top here and just start reading the comments. We've got Katrina at 7:34. Hello, Miss T and all my quilting friends. I made 75 stockings, sent them to quilters. That's pretty cool. So she did get them done. Sandra Agra says, hi all. So happy to be here with you all. And she's also reminding people to hit the thumbs up button. Thank you, Sandra. Vivian Cavey is here saying hi, T and everyone. Jennifer Mizard's here saying, woohoo, set my alarm so I wouldn't miss the live. Hi, Jennifer. Betsy Lighton says, hello, Miss T and T Quilters. Happy Saturday. Margaret Hassler says, hi, T. Melissa LePage says, good evening, T and everyone. Stephanie of Memoirs of a Longhorn Quilter says, hey, T and everyone. Sharon Lewis says, hi, T and Quilters. Kevin the Quilter says, evening. New to the channel here, subscribe. Laughing out loud. Mary says, hi, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. Elaine Doucette says, hello, nice and blue. Thank you. Quiltygram says, hi, T and T Quilters. Deborah Sims Brown says, hi, T and everyone from Maryland. Mary says, someone's nose just grew at Kevin the Quilter. Mario says, hello from Montreal. Nice to be here with T Quilters. 101 degrees today. Yes, that's a day to stay inside. Darcy Savali says, hi, T and everyone. Janet Macro says, hello, T and everyone. Dolores Felt says, hello, T and all. It's so good to see you. Hi, Dolores. Bonita Nance is here, says, hey, Miss T and everyone. Hi, Miss Bonita. Kathleen Champ says, hi, T and friends. Craft with Love says, greetings, T and all. Maria Mayer, hi, T and everyone. Tiffany is here. Tiffany's Quilting Life says, hello, T and friends. And Darcy is also reminding people to hit the thumbs up if you haven't. Vicki Lemire saying hello. Kevin says, congrats, Vivian Calvi and Bonita Nance from Miss Crochet. Enjoy your prizes for being eagle-eyed and finding Miss Crochet during the Iowa Shop Hops. Emily is here, says, hello, T and T friends. And Vivian says to Kevin, thank you. Tiffany says, I should be working but can't seem to long arm and watch at the same time. So it breaks time to sit on my bum for a bit. Cynthia Maria Field says, hi from Long Island, New York, waiting for storm. Hi, Cynthia. Welcome to the channel. I don't remember your name. And hopefully the storm passes over and you keep all your power. That's the main thing. I think that's it. June Hansen says, hi, T and everyone. And Bonita says, totally awesome to Kevin as well. And Mary is sending prayers to Cynthia for safety. Yes. So, our project that should have been done in a week, we're now on week number 3. And that's because I do like chatting with you all. So, I have slowed down for that. And also because I also use stuff as a teaching experience as well, which is what's going to happen tonight. Tonight's project, I decided to do borders on a project that didn't have any border fabric. So last week we talked about, should I add borders or not? Most of you said, yeah. I just can't find a use for a quilt that's 50 by, 66? I don't know what you do with those type of quilts. It's not even, it's 50 inches. It's not very long, especially when you're on a sofa or something, and then you stretch your leg out and your toes pop out the other end. So I just don't know what you do with those size quilts. So the smallest quilts I make, if they're not going to be wall hangers or something, is twin size, which is about 60 inches to 80, 81, somewhere in that area. So I have decided that I'm going to add these borders on here just because I need quilts bigger. I just don't know what you do with small quilts other than give them to a child. So we'll see if other people are coming in here. I think I saw June Hansen. Sue is here. Hi, Sue. She says, good evening, T and all. Got back from vacation and back to work. Is that a new shirt, T? No, this is an old shirt. It was a prototype that I changed. I always just use a shirt for myself as prototypes that don't work out, and then I just wear them around the house or on the YouTube lives. But it's the Subscriber of the Year shirt that only goes to people that do become Subscriber of the Year. And the black on this shirt is now white, if I'm not mistaken. So that's what this shirt is. So it's not a new one. Cynthia saying, have not been able to see him because hubby has been sick. Oh, haven't been able to come over here, I guess, because husband's been sick. So hopefully he's feeling better as well, or will feel better soon. Marty got her car fixed finally from a wreck where she got rear-ended when she was on her way home from St. Louis. Okay, so good. And hopefully nothing else happened to her. Got Norma Ozia says, good evening, quilt friends. She's watching with glasses on. That is too funny. That's a cute one. I haven't seen that. Not those glasses. Teresa McCormick says, good evening, T and all T quilters. Glad to be with you. And Kevin, welcome to the channel. She says to Kevin, welcome to the channel. That's what I was thinking. Give it to a child, laughing out loud. That was Craft with Love. Yeah, Clarissa Renninger says, hello, everyone. Hi, Clarissa. And Debbie says, good evening, T and all T quilters. And Darcy is also saying, that was what I was going to say, give it to a child. I do have a lot of children around, but I'm not trying to make a whole lot of children quilts. And then in my family, all the children are boys. So most of my quilts are like the big one with the flower that we're doing tonight. No boy wants that. Robin Boyd says, hello, T and everyone. Cynthia says, can be used in nursing homes for wheelchair patients. That's true, too. But most of these, I don't know. We'll see. Because I do some, but I don't donate for the whole nursing home. But I did just donate those 12 or 14 quilts to Annie Malone Children's Home, but I made all of those quilts twin size. I just like to make quilts that people can use personally. Now, nursing homes and wheelchairs, they do take smaller sizes. Let's see. Terry T is here saying hello, everyone. Sean Hickman, hello, quilting friends. Janice Miller says good evening, T and Teaquilters. So I think we're caught up with the comments. So let's talk about borders. I was going to put straight borders on here. And, you know, I could do all of my cutting ahead of time and get things done so that I can sew. And I thought that I was going to actually put the borders on this quilt without you all and just say it was done and show it to you all in a photo on Facebook or YouTube, and then show it to you all in my completions for the month of August. However, I decided to use this as a teaching opportunity, which is kind of how this whole project has spread into 3 weeks in the first place. So I decided I wanted to do mitered borders, and I want to teach it to you the right way you're supposed to do it, and then you can do whatever you want when you do your own mitered borders in the future. But I thought, since I had not really talked about mitered borders, I don't recall, I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to do that. Craft would love talking about I can be that child and get that quilt. Yeah, but you're not in a children's home. My quilts go to homeless veteran houses. That's pretty cool. And our guild, we had a new house that was built here in my larger quilt guild. We actually outfitted the beds and made all patriotic quilts. So that's a good idea too whenever they're opening up a new center somewhere. Elaine Doucette says, for our Canadian winters, great car lap quilts. Yes. I hardly ever use a quilt in my car. I do put like fleece blankets. I have a couple of those that kind of live in my car. So if I'm ever cold in the car, forgot to bring my jacket or something, I just tend to grab one of those. Okay, so we're going to talk about these borders. Now I'm hoping and assuming that everybody has already seen this quilt, so we're going to delay showing that because I'm already one step ahead of you all, and I'm not ready to show that because then you'll start asking me questions I haven't had time to answer. One thing about mitered borders on a quilt is that you got to know your current quilt top size. And the reason why is because you want to do measurements. So it doesn't matter how many borders you're adding. It doesn't matter the width of those borders. What you need to know when you first start out is the actual size of your quilt top. So my quilt top without any borders on it is 50.5 by 66.5. So I needed to know that. So I made sure I wrote that number down. That's very important. Hi, C-Rex. I know, Crafty, it's a joke. Yeah, so that's the first thing you need to do. Second thing you need to do is you need to determine how many borders you're going to put on your quilt. And then once they're on the quilt, what's the size of that border? Okay. So I've done that. I picked my 2 fabrics that we talked about last week. I've got it wrapped into each other, I guess. So I'm just trying to get the smallest one out. It doesn't matter which one I show you. Well, I thought this was the smallest one. They're both pretty big. So I've cut my 2 border pieces, and then I measured it to know what that measurement is. And I ended up cutting this piece of fabric. Another thing, when you do mitered borders, you're going to need extra fabric, more fabric than you would normally need, because instead of you stopping short on your sides, it's now got to go all the way to the end. So keep that in mind too. You're going to need more fabric. Remember, I told you that this was the fabric that was put in my kit for the current size of my quilt. It was supposed to be my binding. And all I could cut was 6 2.5-inch strips. So I knew that I was going to need another strip because I was going to miter the border. So what I did was I cut this piece 2 inches so that I can now cut 7 strips. So make sure you know when you're mitering something that you do need to have extra fabric than you would use if you're doing a regular quilt. Okay, so I had enough to cut 7 strips of this, and then on this fabric I had about a little shy of 2 yards. I'd say about 66 inches, somewhere around there is what I had on this print. And if you all don't know me already, I like to cut my borders lengthwise. The reason is because the lengthwise grain has less stretch. And then even if I don't have enough to do the whole quilt, I cut lengthwise strips, and then I just cut enough strips so that I can do a mitered join on those pieces, which is what I have here. I didn't just cut, a straight edge and sew straight across. I actually did a mitered join when I needed to. I only needed to do that on my side pieces, not my top and bottom. I had enough to do the top and bottom borders, but not enough to do the side borders. So I had to do mitered joins. Even when it's a 6-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch wide border, I still do a mitered join. I just think it looks better on the quilt. And I still will cut lengthwise strips just because there is no stretching on the edge when I'm done. So I've got, in order for me to save time, I have already sewn all 4 borders. What I did was I folded all of my border pieces. Okay, so how do I know how much fabric I need for my borders? So I got my measurements for my center, my length, and my width. And then I got the measurement for my border. So you twice whatever this measurement is. You get that number, multiply it by 2. And then I personally like to add 3-4 inches just so I'm not on the edge of my fabric. At this point, I've already used a little bit extra because I'm mitering. So I just go ahead and add like 3 to 4 inches to my measurement, just so that I know I've got enough room. Okay. So then once I cut all my border pieces, I go ahead and press a fold in them so that I can match up the centers. And the reason why I'm matching up the centers is because I was going to be still a little bit short of having enough fabric to go all the way to the end of this outer border, which I don't need. So what I did was I just went ahead and centered everything and then just pinned from the center out. I did pin these to sew, so I make sure I had this centered when I sewed this together, because I'm short here on the ends. And you'll see later that this part right here being short doesn't matter. Okay, so I did that to all 4 of my borders already. I took my quilt top center and I folded in and found all of the centers on the top, bottom, left and right sides. I marked that with ink pen. It's important to know where your centers are. Then once I had these units sewed together and pressed, I also did the same thing with this. I folded in half and with an ink pen, the side that I'm sewing to my quilt top, which is going to be this inner border piece, I marked the center. Except that I marked it on the other side. So let me mark it here. I'm like, where is my mark? And the reason why I press it in and mark it with an ink pen is because sometimes when you start sewing and your prints are busy, you cannot see that fold. It might just disappear on you. And so I try to make sure that I can see that. I'm trying to make sure I got my other marks on the, I do have the other marks on the right side. That's pretty funny. I had the center mark on the wrong side, but here it is. Now, this is important. Before I even put this onto my quilt, remember those measurements I told you for your quilt top? This happens to be the top border of my quilt. The width of my quilt without any borders is 50.5 inches. I want to divide that in 2. That's 25.25. Okay. Now I'm going to use the number 25 and I'm going to use the number 25.25. From the center out, I use a very long mat. I use a long mat, so I put my mat on a number. I put my center mark, say on 0. I go down to 25. And at 25, I make a really long mark And I'm hoping you can see this longer mark here. That's with an ink pen. And then a 1/4 inch away, I have a shorter mark. I do that on both ends, okay? My bordered lengths for the sides were 66.5. So for this one, because it's a different number, I had to go 33 and 33.25. I made those marks. So they're already on here. And I did both ends from the center out. Why am I doing that? You could easily just sew this onto your quilt from this center mark and start and stop a 1/4 inch away when you're sewing. But what's going to happen is you're going to have cattywampus borders. So we want to prevent those cattywampus borders that start waving because you've got too much fabric in. If I know where my center is and I know where the end of my quilt should be, I'm going to pin my center. I'm going to pin to the end. And then I'm going to make it fit in the middle, which you shouldn't have to do much easing if you've already measured your quilt top, which I have done. Now, I will say when you're making these marks, make sure you measure twice, because you could get to your sewing machine and something is an inch off. Maybe you, instead of marking at 25, you marked at 24. And so if you're finding that you're having to ease in an inch or something, you didn't mark it right. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be more than a 1/4 inch that you're easing in at any given time. So if you find you're easing in a lot of fabric, you must have missed marks. So always measure twice before you come to the sewing machine. And then just for your viewing purposes, these are my marks here for the opposite side, just so you know I did them. Okay. So I'm just going to put this one away for right now. So then what I do is I pin, as I told you all, I pin my centers and I pin the ends where I got that 25 mark. The smaller mark is the edge of my quilt top. The longer mark is where I'm going to start and stop quilting. So I'm going to be back stitching when I sew this onto my quilt top. So keep that in mind. Thanks, people. Kathy Quilts and Crafts says she likes the colors, so thank you so much. I'm not reading a whole lot of comments, so you all may have to put your comments, either copy and paste them later on back down to me later so that I can read them, just in case if I can't go back. So okay, I'm going to pin this and then I'm going to sew this onto my quilt top. So that's what I'm going to do. This is the actual top border. And the reason why I put the names on them is because when I come in here, I forget what's the top and bottom because they are different lengths. So I didn't want to have any of those issues when I came in here. So I have my top here where I have already sewn my left border and my bottom border on. Okay. And so I'm going to show you that part now, just so you can see one of my mitered corners. And then I'm going to show you how I got to that, because I felt like it would be easier if you see what I'm doing, especially a new person that's never mitered a corner. If you see it, and then I show you what I'm doing. So I'm going to try to get into the camera a little bit, guys. So here is my mitered corner, and you can see where it's nice and straight all the way across. It's not growing and going up into this corner, which is what I see a lot on mitered corners. I see people's quilt tops just growing in that section. So what we want to do is keep it nice and straight on both sides of the quilt top. So right there, nice and straight. Okay. All right, so this is my bottom right here. This is my left side, so I know my top is up here. So we're going to put on the top just so I can show you what's going on. And so When I first start, I have nothing on my quilt, of course, when I'm putting the first side on. You got to remember, you're going to start and stop 1/4 of an inch away from the edge of your quilt top. That's why I have 2 marks. One mark is my edge. The second mark is where I'm going to start. When I start quilting, I'm also going to backstitch. So keep that in mind. So this is what it would look like. You can see where I've got this opening here because I didn't stitch all the way to the edge. But I got back stitching in here. That's why you see a little bit more of a thread build up there. And then I have all of this hanging off. And you're thinking, whoa, that's a lot of extra fabric going on there. But what's going to happen is you're going to need to have this excess because it's got to cover the other border that I'm about to put on. So that's why it looks like it's a whole lot of extra. It is some extra because I added 4 extra inches about, but it's not excess in the fact that I'm going to be putting this, making a mitered corner, and want to make sure I got plenty of room and I'm not stretching and tugging my fabrics when it's time to miter that corner. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to put the next piece on this top. So that's what I'm about to pin on here now. Thanks, Tiffany. She's welcoming everybody that's coming in. So hopefully everybody understood about the markings, about measuring your quilt. And then once you determine how many borders, this could have been 3 borders, it could have been 5 borders, it could have been 1. It doesn't matter what size any of those are. Just sew all your border pieces together and then you just want to measure it afterwards. So it doesn't even, you don't even have to measure the widths as you're adding borders, just your total border. Darcy says, I have sewn my first border this week. I took a class over 15 years ago. It took me 5 hours just to do about 3 feet. Once I got going a little better, it took me a week to do the whole thing. Well, if it's something that you're not sure about, you want to take your time. So that's good. And then the reason why, even when I fold my fabric, I still like to go ahead and put that ink on something like this because it's important that I know the center. So I know where the center is on my quilt top. I got my center on my piece here. And I'm just looking at both sides. I got them lined up pretty good. 1/16 of an inch is okay to be off if that's what happens. The folds will help you line it up too if you fold one fold in and one fold out. So now I'm going down to the edge. I'm not worried about anything being sized because I've got all of these marks that I've done. I know where my edge should be. So I've got all of this extra hanging off from where my end piece mark is. And I'm just going to put a pin. Whoops. I like, I got these pins. I like them. I like the orange pins, the peach pins, whatever color they are, when I'm piecing. But then when I'm doing my mitered corner and I want it to hold fabric in place, then I like using the blue pins. I got blue and pink ones. The blue pins are more like the old yellow quilters pins. The coral color pins or silk pins, they're a little bit thinner, so I like that. So I'm going to find my end again. Now over here, because I've got this piece already here hanging, I've got to just fold this down to get it out the way so that I can line up my edges. So it is a little bit finagling, I guess they call it, if I can say it, finagling, to get it in the right spot. And then I'm going to put a pin there to hold this. And I'm going to weave this pin in 2 or 3 times to make sure it don't move on me because I want to know where I'm starting and stopping. And then I just go to the middle. Nothing's being pulled. I got good measurements because I measured my top and I measured my marks to let me know where I'm putting things. So everything is lining up appropriately. Craft with Love says, T, that's a real nice miter you did on that because you have to take your time and don't rush when making your miters. Yes. And I found, you know, Maslow's law. No, Murphy's law, not Maslow's. Murphy's law. If it can happen, it will. I can make 4 corners on a quilt. I can get all of them done and one of them going to be a mess. I don't care how many times I take the stitches out. It's just going to be a mess. I have no idea why that happens. So it just, things like that happen. But we're going to shoot for 4 today. I've done, got the first one going. And just so I could show you what we want. Because if I mess up, I don't want to show you first something that's wrong. So when I'm at the point, I put my needle down in that mark. That's 1/4 of an inch from the edge. And I'm going to take a couple stitches. If my Bernina lets me. Is it unplugged? Trying to see if my pedal came out. I cleaned and oiled it in between. So that was weird. I just cleaned and oiled it, so I just did 3, whoops. How come I'm pressing reverse and it's not reversing? Okay, we're going to cut this off and we're going to cut this back on again. Because that's weird. I just sewed on it. And then I stopped and oiled it. So I'm going to pull this out just so I don't have a thread build up at the beginning. I'm trying to I'm pressing the button for back stitching and it's still coming forward. I've never had that happen before. And like I said, I'm only pulling that out. It wasn't that it was bad stitching. It's just that I took my pen out already and moved it down. It's I don't want thread build up because I'm already back stitching in a corner. So we're just going to redo this. And I guess I can sew on some scraps too to make sure it will back stitch. Leetta Bryant is here, says hi TNT Quilters. Hi Leetta. Tiffany says, I have a Murphy's Law little ornament. Yes. It happen, it definitely will. Let me just stitch first now. Yeah, see, it's working now. I guess I must have hit something when I cleaned it on the screen. But I reset the screen, so it wanted to be restarted. Okay. Sorry about that. That's where Murphy's Law come in, right? All right, so we're going to go ahead and put this back on my 1/4 inch, and I'm going to get that needle at the start position. And when you're back stitching, you don't want to go past that starting point. Let me take that out. Okay, and then I'm just going to go all the way down, regular stitching here until I get to the end, and I'm going to back stitch 1/4 of an inch from the edge again. Now notice on this quilt, I didn't have to stitch my 2 side borders and then go stitch my top and bottom border. I stitched a left border and a bottom border, and then I mitered that corner. You can stitch all of your borders on if you want, or you can stitch 2 borders on and then miter that one corner as you go. When you get to the last one, you'll just have 2 corners to miter. So that's what we're going to do here, just to make sure I get you through all the steps, because we know how sewing chats can go. I get to communicating with you guys in the chat and we don't do any sewing. So we're almost to the end here. And I love all these bright colors in this quilt too. I am so enjoying making this quilt. And there's also another reason that I did not finish this border this week. Okay, I just took that pin out. I'm almost to the edge of my quilt here. I just hit my line. Now I'm gonna back stitch. All right, got a good stopping point there. All right, so another thing that I did when I was sewing my pieces together, I pressed my borders on the sides one direction, and then I pressed my top and bottom borders the opposite direction when I added these two strips together. So when I do my corner, they lock in place as well. So that's another great tip to do. So what I'm going to do now is cut on some pressing stuff because I didn't do that. But I like to, before I even get over there, I just like to take my little wooden press stick. I normally do it all over there on the, because I have more space, but I like to go ahead and just press my border just to give it a memory. Even though I'm going to be pulling this back a little bit, I'm still going to go ahead and press it so my borders are going, I'm pressing towards my borders. And I'll show you that in a minute once I get it pressed. And I'll be showing you the back once I get the finished thing done, I guess. Because now we're going to miter this corner. I'm going to show you how to miter. And I'm sorry I'm not reading comments. I'm trying to get the teaching part like at the top of the video. So for people who are watching the upload, they don't have to go 45 minutes of me talking before they even get what they came into the video for. So that's why I'm doing the teaching up at the top part. So hope you all understand that. So when you do the replay, all this information should be within the first hour for sure. Okay, so I just pressed this with that, and now I'm just waiting for my heat source to heat up, and it's not hot yet because if it was hot, I would know it because I could feel it. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can read some of the comments here. I'm just going to scroll back, see what I can find up here. Mary T, I made a jelly roll quilt and wanted it bigger, so I made lots of 6-inch triangles and put them on 2 sides. Should I put them on all 4 sides? Just wondering if it looks funny. No, you don't have to put the same borders all the way around your quilt. If you're wanting something to be a particular size and what you're putting on the sides work, then that is absolutely fine. You do not have to put borders, the same borders and the same size borders. If you want something to be bigger, you could have put a wider border on your quilt than you do on the top and bottom. I do that all the time to get things to a particular size. So no, you don't. Maria Quarterman's here. She says, hi, everyone. Susan T says, I like to do borders. Wishing doesn't help, laughing out loud. I think people would like borders more if you put them on correctly. You got to measure. Tiffany says, I do miter borders often, especially with piece borders, gives it added flair. So now I think I got Tananji Roberts came in, says good evening everyone, or good evening all. Remo JS says good evening tea and quilters. And she's reminding people also to thumbs up. Thank you. Michelle the Quilter says, hello everyone from New York State's beautiful corner. Thank you. I read Dorsey's. 3 years younger than me. Something. I don't know what that's about. Whoever it is, have a happy birthday. I don't know whose birthday it is. Kim Burris is here. Sorry I'm late. I was baking cookies. Hello, everyone. That's from Kim Burris. Hi, Kim. So let's see if I've got some heat here. See if I got some heat to press this so we can go ahead and miter this corner. So I just want to make sure it's flat because I'm using a steam press here, guys. Regular ironing system. So whatever I put under here is what I'm going to have. Although I have to say, I do like pressing with my steam press. I get a lot, it's done a whole lot faster. You just got to make sure you're not pressing in folds or pleats. So that's another reason that I do the wooden press for my long pieces like this. I normally would not have done that. So I'm just trying to get myself back in here with all I got and get the right corner up. So this is the top border piece that I just sewed to my quilt top. And then this is the piece that was on my left side. And I just got the tags on here so I wouldn't get them mixed up when I was piecing them. And it looks a little bit funny here. So when you're sewing this, and it's hard for me to hold this up, so I'm on the mic, sorry. But when I hold this up, these pieces should overlap. If you don't have excess coming off of here, your borders are going to be too little, depending on how much fabric I had. Now, I'm going to have some left over, and that's fine, but I definitely don't want to be short. So what I'm going to do is I go from the back of my quilt. I just pressed my pieces so that they were going towards the borders. And what I'm going to do is take these pieces and put them together. But I'm going to take this right here and pull it out at a point where the seam should start and stop at that 1/4 inch seam. So I'm going to pull this out and I'm going to match up my edge on the bottom. I got mine. And this is where I might be pulling my seam back just so I can see my marks here. And I'm going to put a pin in that to hold where all of this stuff is coming together. And I'm just temporarily pulling my seam back down right here. But it's going to go back the other way once I sew this. Okay, so I'm just pulling it out so that I can get a straight edge. And this is where I start using my blue pins because now I'm just holding fabric. And I like the longer pins. They're longer and sturdier. So now I've just pinned just to put these two pieces together. Right here, I made these seams go the opposite direction. I can feel them nesting very nicely here. So I'm just going to go ahead and put another pin in this to hold it. And I'll show you my pins when I'm done. And then I'm going to go all the way up to the top. And I'm making sure all of my edges are aligned at the top as well. So I've got, and I'm just putting in pins as holders right now. They're not doing anything else other than just holding my fabrics in position. And this is what I have. I've got a pin up here. I know it's hard to see the pins. Pin down here. I have a pin holding this seam line because that's important, holding it back so I can see this mark. And then I might put another pin up here at the top as well, just to hold this together. And all I'm doing is just holding my fabric pieces together at this point. So instead of those two wacky pieces that I had, now I feel like I just have one piece of fabric I'm dealing with. Okay, so I've just pinned it together. Now what's going to be difficult to see and show because I'm doing it down here is from this point, the edge of my quilt, I'm going to take a ruler where this mark is, where I started sewing. I'm going to put that 45-degree line of my ruler on the edge of this, and then I'm going to draw a corner from where I started and stopped stitching, a 45-degree angle up. So I'm going to draw that, and then I'll show it to you. So let me get a ruler here. I got my 45-degree line. It's right here. So I'm going to put that on the edge of my fabric. And you do have two 45 degrees on these rulers. You got to get the one that's going toward the angle you want. So I'm going to put 45 degree on the end of my fabric to make sure I'm going up right. Get all the way up to where my pin is. I got a pin in there. And then I'm going to use an ink pen to mark the line. I just moved it. Take that pen out for a minute. I'm trying to mark it a little darker because this is hard to see. Okay. Okay. So right now I have this line marked all the way from that corner down here, all the way up to this corner here. And make sure that that 45-degree line is on the bottom, because if you don't, you're going to grow your quilt up here in this corner if you have the wrong angle. So make sure you're using the 45-degree mark. Now, just because I'm going to be cutting this off 1/4 inch away, I'm going to go ahead and mark another line that's a 1/2 inch away, and I'm going to stitch on both of those lines. So that way, what I'm cutting off is not going to be complete trash. I can use it in a string block or use it as a solo block, and I'll show you what that looks like when we get there. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 1/2 inch away. Let me get a smaller ruler. I don't need this one now because I don't need 45 degree. Got it marked already. Three, 13. So I'm gonna, it's kind of like when you're making half square triangles, you can like, or flip corners, you can like throw the waste away, or you can go ahead and sew it and make something out of it. So that's what I'm currently doing. Okay, so I just did that. And I want to just open and close this to keep it on, because I'll be sewing in a minute. Now I want to go back and make sure that since I've done all of that marking, that where my pieces cross, my border pieces cross, everywhere a border piece cross, I want to make sure that it's still nested there really nice. I don't really care about my extra block, but I care about my finished project. So I'm going to start stitching in that corner where all of this meet up, because I can see it when I first start and put my needle down right there. So that's what I'm going to do. Some people might need to use an open toe foot. I'm still using my Bernina 97D foot. It's open a little bit. It's open enough that I use it as my open toe now. I don't even use my open toe foot anymore. So I just took 3 stitches forward. I just took 3 stitches back. So I make sure I'm locking those stitches in. Pull out any pins as I come across them. And now I'm at the end, and I want to back stitch again. So before I go off, I've noticed that my Bernina don't like to stitch backwards if it's already off the fabric, so I don't go off. I stay a stitch or two behind, do my back stitching there, and then stitch off. So I'm going to cut that. And then I'm going to go ahead and stitch another one on this other line. I don't have to back stitch. This is just an extra, say, half square triangle if you like. So I don't have to back stitch this. So since this is not my actual quilt, I can also zoom stitch it. Just stitch right through it. All right. So you're going to take your rotary cutter or scissors and you're going to cut in between the lines. So I'll just, it's not going to show what I stitched here, but I've just sewn these two lines of stitching. One was from this corner mark all the way up line, and then I just marked a ½ inch away from that, and now I'm going to just take scissors and cut down the middle. I'm using scissors because I don't want to pull out rotary cutter with my whole quilt up here. I normally would use a rotary cutter. All right, so this is the extra piece that I sewed. Talk about that later. And now I've got this piece here. And what I want to do is now press this seam open. So I'm going to do that down here first. Then I'll press it with the steam press, and then I'll show you all what it looks like. And some people like to leave a ½ inch on their seam allowance on their miter corners. You could do that as well if you find you like the fatter seam. I done one with a fat one. I just did this one with a quarter. Either way, it works very well. So I got that. Okay, so let me just show you how I've used my wooden press to press this seam open. And then when I go to that press, this piece here that I have folded back so I can see the marks, I'm going to make sure that all of this comes back up so that it's nice and flat right there. Okay, so let me press that and I'll be back. Whoops. Okay. So this is my corner right here, pressed. Look how nice and flat it's laying down here in this area. Okay. Last thing I need to do is just cut off these dog ears. I'll do that with scissors. This is how the front of that looks. So I'm 2 for 2. Murphy's Law hasn't hit me yet. Nice square on both sides, which is what you want. I'm sitting on my quilt. That's why I'm falling. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and trim off these dog ears. Get rid of those. Just make it look prettier. All right. 2 for 2, guys. So I'm going to read some comments now. So basically, you just continue to do that all the way around your quilt. So that's my second one. This is my first one that I did. I left this border a little bit fatter just to show you what it looks like. I have not trimmed the dog ears. You can see how big those dog ears are. So let me trim those too. I just wanted to show you the difference. I do know quilting friends that like to leave a ½ inch seam. All right. So all I have to put on now is my right side border. But when I put that right side border on, It's going all the way down here. So I have this piece here too. So that means I'll have to do both of those mitered corners on here. But I want to go through the comments. If you've got any questions, you can go ahead and ask. I'm hoping that I explained that pretty good for you all. And especially if you're new and you're scared of doing mitered corners, they're not hard. The great thing about mitered corners, if you're wanting to put 3 borders on a quilt, miter borders are a lot easier because you're just sewing 3 strips. You're making like a strip set, and then you're putting it on the quilt after you've sewn instead of going around your whole entire quilt 3 times. You're only doing it on the actual quilt top once. So miter borders are actually a faster process. And I'm looking at my screen. It's so far behind where I'm saying. So YouTube is lagging today. Let me see what comments I missed. Mario says, my brother would have been 67 yesterday. Oh, that's what the happy birthday. So happy heavenly birthday to your brother. And said that he passed away. He passed unexpectedly on November 21st. And people are sending Mario their prayers as well. That's nice. Deborah says, I'm so confused, but that's okay. My 1-year anniversary for quilting was June 21. I will probably miter a corner one day, but not soon. Yeah, it's I still got one more to do. But basically when you do your quilt, you need to measure your center, and then you need to add your border pieces individually together, and then you're going to put those border pieces onto your quilt top. And then you're going to miter all the corners at once instead of going around your quilt the number of times or number of borders that you're adding onto your quilt. So hopefully go back and watch it. Just listen to what I'm saying when you look at the upload later, and maybe that will help as well. Quilt Gal says, hi T and everyone from Maryland. Just finished mowing and picked lots of tomatoes tonight. Better late than never. Already gave the thumbs up. Thank you so much. Dorothy says, I got my hair colored for my birthday. I went from blonde to a really dark red black. Sure, it looks pretty. Gloria Henry says, hello, Miss T. Hi, Gloria. And Mario's thanking you all for the sympathy. Thanks, Tiffany, for keeping track of people coming in, and I appreciate that. Sheila Willis here says, good evening, T and everyone. Sunny and hot in Tennessee. Vicky says, I hope this hip doctor finds the pain. I'm tired of pills and pain. Yes. People sending Vicky prayers as well. Kathleen Champ says, sorry for your loss, Mario. I lost my mom, and I'm not sure how it will ever get easier. Yeah, it doesn't get easier. June Hansen says, good luck, Vicky. Mine is doing better at times, and it comes back. Remo says, please keep my family in prayer. My cousin just shot himself. Oh, my gosh, that's horrible. So sorry you all are going through that. And hopefully he's still alive, and hopefully he can get the help that he needs. Oh, she said it just happened while she was watching now. Oh my God, I hope it wasn't an accident. And oh my God, it's just too much going on. Hey, this chat is going fast. I don't have my glasses on. It's hard to keep up. Can't see. Quiltygram says, prayers for you and your family. That's so sad. Yes, be getting in touch with her. Hopefully everything be okay. Cookies are all done from Kim. My mom's recipe for oatmeal raisin, but use dried cranberries instead. Yummy. I have dried, I have craisins all the time and never put them in the cookies. I need to do that. Cynthia Shades here saying good evening to all from Chicago. And a lot of people are sending Remo condolences and stuff. I think she had to get out, but I'm sure she'll come back and watch the upload. But thank you all so much. Phyllis G says, hi, TN everyone. Hi, Phyllis. So we've been on an hour. We got one more hour to go. I got one more border to sew, 2 mitered corners. um, and I'm skipping some of the comments here. Amelia Rubio is here saying hello, TN everyone. Also, remember, people that are coming in, you all are coming in close to the 9 p.m. mark. Know that we do start at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time now. We've been on an hour. So just don't forget that. Thanks, Tiffany. She's welcoming everyone joining T's Live. Don't forget to give T a thumbs up. And also, I got a pin for you all to join a Facebook group as well. Get that out the way. Kathleen saying, thank you, T. You're welcome. T, do you ever use your dual feed on your Bernina? I use the dual feed because it's attached to my 97D foot. So I guess I use it every day. If you're talking about do I use that dual feed attachment when you're free motion quilting, then no, because I don't free motion quilt on here. That was one of those things that I didn't have to have with my Bernina, but I do have it, if that's what you're asking. T says, miter corner scared me away from quilting years ago. And maybe what I need to do, is do a video and not put these other 2 corners on, put this other border on here and do a separate video of a mitered border. Maybe that might be better. Then you can see like where I'm marking and everything like that. Maybe that'll help. But I still have already done all the marking on my centers and things like that. I guess I can just show you that in the video. So maybe I might need to wait. What do you all think? Let me know, because I can sew them on right now. I try not to say anything about those cookies, but I can't eat any, laughing out loud. June Hansen says, I've been quilting for 25 years and I still haven't done a miter corner. They look so pretty. I think if you did one, you do it. I don't do it all the time just because it's easier not to sometimes, especially if it's just a simple quilt. I just go ahead and just sew the border on. But if you are sewing like 3 borders on a quilt, it does actually save you a little time. Stephanie says, miter corners. I understand everything up until how you pin the corners. I will watch, hoping it clicks. So she couldn't see where I pinned the corners. Okay. Angela says, hi, T and Quilt Folks, time change mixed up, but I'm here and listening. Yes. So I'll sew the other one on then and go ahead and see if I can show you the pinning a little bit more. And it's hard to see the pins because they're blending in on the back because some of the color from the front is on the back. So you can hardly ever see the pins. Tiffany says, all the food talk randomly turned on my Google Assistants asking if I want cookie or dinner recipes. My phone is watching the chat, I guess. Yes. Quiltigram's talking to Kim. Sue says, I really appreciate the earlier time since I work on early on Sunday. Yes. If it's okay with T, I would share a couple recipes on the Facebook group. Oh, that's Kim. Yeah, you can put them over there. Some cookie recipes. Great. T says I would love an 11. XI, I don't know what that is. I would try it, but not this one I'm working on. Tiffany says, do a video, T. I did a video 3 different ways last year, I think. Help people see it. Oh, T says, we'll love a video. So, yeah. So, that's it for the chat comments. So, hopefully I saw everybody's comments that were not about food or condolences. I try to do some of that stuff in groupings. I do let people, I read some of the off-topic chats just so people know what's going on if you're not reading the chats, but I don't want to read like 50 comments about stuff that's off topic. So. Yes. So that's about it. I don't know. Maybe I'll go ahead and finish this. And then just do maybe I'll just do like a little test thing. Just cut a square and show you all how to put a border on a square or something like that maybe. Because this almost done. Maybe I'll do that. I'll do a mitered corner. I'm trying to figure. I know I used to have, and I did one in a presentation, but I thought I had videotaped it, but maybe I didn't. I'll go back and look too and see if I have a video already, but I will do it again. I'll do one small so we can see the entire thing up on top of my long arm machine. I'll just do a rectangle, a small rectangle. But right now I'm just going back, starting at the beginning. You're welcome, Kathleen. So I'll do something small so you can see the entire thing when it's laid out with my camera, because I think that's what it is that I can't show you the details. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this off, and this can be done. Now, I remember I said there was a reason why I didn't put this border on. If I had not been mucking around with other stuff, I would have had this border on here and we would have been on another project tonight. Last Sunday, you all know that when I went and did the Iowa shop hop, I got some stuff, and I was saying I'm trying to use some of this stuff. So I can't remember if I used anything from Iowa, but I went to Apple Tree and I bought a panel. And so since I'm on panel quilts right now, which seems to be what I'm operating with, I decided I was going to do another panel quilt. So I have done, I done it on Sunday and Monday. It took me less than 24 hours. I started late, and then I was up to about 3 or 4 o'clock, and then I got back up early in the morning, like maybe 9 or 10, and then I finished it off because I wanted to do, I videotaped the entire thing. I had like an hour and 40 minutes of video. I think I've got it reduced down to like an hour and 12 minutes. So that will be released tomorrow. So that was last Sunday and Monday that I pieced the top. So the pattern that I chose, and I'll have all the links for you guys. It's a free online pattern. The pattern I chose had some waste, and it was necessary waste, but it was waste. And at first I was saying, okay, I can just go ahead and put this in my strings and crumbs. Some of these even pretty big sizes, I can put it back into my, you know, my scrap storage system, all of this kind of stuff. And then as I went to go put that stuff up this week, so I could use my long arm, which I never did cut on because I started mucking around with these scraps. So I ended up making a piece back. I videotaped the majority of it, but I have not, I didn't videotape it all. I kind of gave you the concept of how to make a piece back. So I haven't edited that video yet. But I wanted you all to know that tomorrow will be a new video out. I just got to do the YouTube stuff to it now, as far as doing the new titles and adding cards at the end, stuff like that. But it's ready. It took me about 7 hours for me to produce an hour and 12-minute video, and then it took YouTube about 5 hours to upload it. So it's been doing all of that overnight and throughout the day. So I'm really excited. I think that you all are going to really love this project that I have, and I hope that if you make it, that you will share it in the Facebook group. And like I said, I did it within a 24-hour period, and that's me finding the patterns. I was just on the web goofing around, fell into it accidentally. I don't even know how it came up. I'm just putting another pin here because I'm about to pull this first pin out. And I go, oh, that'll be cute for my panel. So somebody won a fusion panel. It's called Fusion Ripple that I had gotten from Apple Tree. I gave one out as a birthday prize. So somebody won that. So I'm giving you an idea of what to do with that. So I even pulled out all of my panels, and I've got them all organized, wrapped, because they weren't wrapped. And I got a list that I need to put into Excel. I have a written list. I haven't typed it up yet. So hopefully you all will like this panel that I'm doing. And it's not gonna look very easy when you first look at it, but I'm encouraging you all to take the challenge and try it. I think it's really cute, and it was such a fun technique. Great way to do a quilt. Pattern instructions are excellent. I changed very little as far as my pressing. I pressed a couple of things different ways, but other than that, it was pretty easy. Looks more complicated than it is, and you will have some waste. But there is no way around the waste. So hopefully you all will look into that tomorrow. Good night, Mario. See people saying good night to him. I haven't been reading over here. T, where is Kevin? Is he in the chat tonight? Kevin probably hear my voice. Maybe he'll look up. He might be in his room working, and he's not reading the comments. He could have fallen asleep because Kevin been working for days, long shifts. So he could have fallen asleep as well. Damali J says, good evening, Miss T and Quilters. I made it. Hi, Damali. I've never seen a corner done like that. We'll play video again. Yes. So, and like I said, what I'll do is I'll add to my list, and I'll just make a plain center so all the other stuff isn't being distracting, because I think you're looking at the pretty fabrics and then they're busy fabrics. And so I'm just going to pull up some stuff, make a very simple square, rectangle, whatever, probably a rectangle because it'll be a better educational tool. And then just show you how to do that on a rectangle so you can see everything that I'm doing. But right now I'm just starting over where I'm putting on my borders. And I started stitching a 1/4 inch in, and I'm going to stop stitching a 1/4 inch in from my marks. Just love the colors on this tee. Is it me or did this come together really quickly? This is a really quick quilt because it's just a panel, and then I did that strip. Well, you're supposed to strip piece, but I couldn't do that because I was doing it live with you guys. So it took me a little longer to do that, but that went quick too because it's not like it was a whole lot of pieces. I'm at this end. I want to back stitch and cut my thread. So it is going together really fast. This should have been done in one video on a live sewing chat, but then that would mean that I'm not chatting. And I like to chat too, so. And I don't have anybody here to read the comments for me, so. This is when you don't put your tools back and then you can't find them. My press just left the building. I thought I was using it right here. Maybe my quilt got caught up in it when you don't put stuff up. And if it fell that way, I gotta wait and get it. Oh, it's right here. Fell off the. This is a computer desk, and so it was on the typewriter stand, which is underneath this desk. So I didn't have to go all the way to the floor at least. Thank you. So I'm just using this my wood press to give it some memory, so when I get to the steam press, I don't have to worry about my seams moving all over the place. So pretty from Carissa, thank you. And Kevin talking about he is in the chat. Yeah, when I say your name. He busy working probably. When Kevin's he been working, and so then he wants to come home and sew too. So, and I had some birthday money. I've been online buying fabric, y'all. I had coupons, not coupons, gift things for my birthday. So I've been shopping. Just ridiculous. Some of it has come already. I'm hoping that the rest of it comes by Tuesday so that I can so that I can do a haul on Tuesday, but it's ridiculous. But I'm also, like I said, I've been looking at what I purchased from Iowa, and so I'm also looking at if I'm buying stuff that I can use with that, with the pattern, some of the patterns, because I bought a lot of patterns. I didn't need the patterns, but I was like, I was trying not to buy fabric, so I bought a lot of patterns. And then I pulled out some stuff and thought that I could use it for some of the patterns, and then found out I had a lot of fat quarters, and they needed either 5/8 of a yard or, so they weren't really fat quarter based patterns. So I was like, okay, we're going to go spend all this. I think I got one more to go, and it wasn't fabric related. It was for Sierra. I think it's Sierra Online, if I'm not mistaken. I got one more to spend. I had one shop I had never shopped at was the Quilted Twins. I think, is it Quilted Twins? I think that's the name of it. And this fabric is very stringy, although it's a name brand. It's Timeless Treasures, but it's very stringy. I'm just letting the strings go, and when I quilt it, I'll cut them before I quilt it, because it's just going to keep coming. I've been going through I went through my backing fabrics, and I pulled out something that I can use very floral print that was in my backings. I go, you can work as, it can work as a piece on the back of this quilt. It's a blue color back, but that's okay. It'll work because I'm going to use a multicolored thread, so it'll be just perfect. So I'm said that they didn't understand the pinning that I was doing. So basically, I've just pulled up my miter here, and I'm on the wrong side of my quilt, and all I'm doing is just lining up. I want to make sure that my quilt is not coming this way into my border. I want to make sure that I've got this pulled out, and then I'm just pushing back my seam allowances so that I can put a pin to just hold that in place. I don't want that to move. It doesn't even have to be where my marks are. I just basically am making sure that none of this comes back this way. I'm pointing to myself because this is the side I'm working on here. All right, and I can't do this backwards. Okay, so let me put the ends here. So this is the side that I'm actually working on. And all I did, once I put the pin in there, the hole, I just lined up this bottom, made sure it's nice and straight, and I'm just putting a pin. This is just a holding pin. And what it's doing is it's making sure this don't move on me. That's all that it's doing. It's making sure that it's not going to move. So basically what I'm doing is I'm folding my entire quilt on a 45-degree angle here. And then I'm just pinning to make sure that my tops and bottoms are aligned. And I know that when I start marking, I'm going to be coming out this way. So I'm going to put a pin right over in this section that's not going to be in the way, just to hold my pieces together. So that's all I'm doing with the pinning. I'm just basically taking these two fabrics and trying to make them one. I'm just adding extra pins. I'm not going to be in this area. I'm just adding extra pins to just hold this. It's just easier if your pieces aren't moving around, especially with me holding them up to show you all. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this back to me so I can see. The next thing I want to do is I've got a piece border, and I press my seams in opposite directions so that it would nest. And I want to make sure that that's in the right position. So I do have it where I can feel it nesting. I'm just going to put some pins there. I don't know if it's in the place of where I'm going to be marking right now or not. But basically I just want to hold this in position. Make sure it's not going to move. So that's where I'm putting pins. And then I'm just going to come up here to this corner and add another one because I know I'm not going to be all the way out to the edge. So I'm doing holding pins. Now when I move this around, I don't have to worry about this moving. When I'm doing my marking, I don't have to worry about my pieces being moved while I'm marking. So that's the only reason I'm putting in these pins. They're just holding pins. I can do whatever I want with this now, and I don't have to worry about what's going to happen to my pieces underneath. My piece underneath. Everything's nice and lined up. I'm ready to sew, but I got to draw a line to do that. And this is the part I can't show you here. You got a 45-degree mark here on your ruler that I'm putting on the bottom of my quilt. And it's just not going to be something that I can show you all. But I can't show you this. It's just impossible. I only got two hands. So basically I'm putting the edge of my quilt on this 45-degree line of the ruler. And I don't even know if this is showing up. And it's not laying up here right. And then what I'm going to do is mark from where I started and stopped stitching to the corner, because that line is going to extend my ruler so I know where I'm drawing that to the top. If you don't have this lined up correct, that's why I like to lay it on a nice flat surface when I do this. Your quilt top is going to grow at the top. T says I was good till the 45 degrees. So each ruler, look at your rulers, guys. This is a 8.5 by 12 rulers. They have 45 degree, 60 degree, and 90 degree lines on them. This is the 45 degree line right here. You can see the 45 right there. I'm putting this line, instead of using the edge of the ruler like we normally do when we cut, I'm just placing this line on the edge of my, the border, the print border down here. I'm placing that on the bottom of my strip. That's all I'm doing, raw edge, 45 degree line. And when I put it down, I want to make sure that when I pull this ruler back, I want it to be lined up so that I can go straight out to the corner. I don't have enough room to do this here. I'm trying to get this up here. Hold on. I did it once before, so I got to be able to do it again. Let me put my scissors up. 45 degree line is on the edge of my quilt top. Making sure everything's nice and straight. And then where I start and stop stitching is where I pull my ruler down to that mark to make sure that I'm able to draw a line diagonally from that where I started and stopped stitching, because this is going to be my stitching line. My ruler moved because I'm talking and marking. And we don't want this to be Murphy's Law happening over here. So all I did was put that 45 degree line at the bottom. And then where I started and stopped stitching right here, I made sure that I pulled the ruler down so that I could get the edge of my ruler so I can mark from here all the way up to there. Putting that 45 degree angle here made it so I could draw a 45 degree line this way. Basically, that's what the 45 degrees is doing. And like I said, all these pins are holding pins so that my fabric would not move. If I need to readjust any of my pins for sewing, now is when I do that. So if they're in my way of sewing, I go ahead and do that. Now, the other thing that I did was I marked a second line a 1/2 inch away, which I haven't done yet. So let's do that. Got all these rulers and no space. All these long rulers. So draw another line a 1/2 inch away just so I can save the waste, because I didn't even show you what I did with the other one. And this line isn't the serious line. The serious line I've already marked. So I don't really even care about this line. This is just an extra block. So this right here is the piece that I had cut off earlier. And I sewed that extra line. So this is what I have when I'm finished. Something that looks like this. It's just a 1/2 square triangle from your piece border. And then what I do is I take a square up ruler and square it up. So now I've got this. So it can be in a crumb quilt. It can be when I do sampler quilts where I just use all of my extra blocks or anything like that. So it's just little extra blocks that I make and I put aside for another project. And then the pieces that I cut off, because this is cattywampus, they're going into my string container. So here's 1, 2, and this is the other piece. So these will be in some of my future string quilts. Unless I put it in a box I give away. You never know. But this is new fabric. Kevin just gave me this fabric. So it's not old fabric. So I haven't gotten tired of it yet. But you know, you can use these pieces. They look a little weird because, you know, all the fabrics aren't lined up. But this is a half square triangle when all is said and done. And then the extra pieces I just cut off and add to my strings. So everything is used. Nothing's wasted. Sue says, happy, 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 a new video tomorrow. Darcy says, we could all grab some junk fabric and practice those miter corners. Exactly. Because that's all I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull a piece of fabric. Something I'm not interested in and, you know, do it. Kathleen says, I'm thinking seriously, I need that panel in my life. I don't know what age this fabric line is, but it's a few years old. I'm going to say like 2019 or 18 or something like that. So I couldn't find a whole lot of this fabric. You might can find the panel maybe, but you're not going to find the supporting fabric. I haven't found the confetti fabric. I have 7 Christmas panels, 2 Halloween, 1 Thanksgiving. Silly. Bought panels, but didn't get companion fabrics. Yes, and I do that all the time, buy panels and don't get companion fabrics. I think I counted and I'm up to like 33, 34 maybe panels. It's ridiculous. Well, different types of panels because, again, I told y'all on Tuesday, I got like some I got a lot of, some I got 2, some I've got like I've got 1, I got 7 because I wanted to do a stack and whack with it, stuff like that. Just craziness. Okay, Kim, that's my biggest concern, buying fabric, period. Not having anything to coordinate back to it. I think it's awesome to create your own set, but I do like pre-organized too. I'm OCD over it. Deborah says, I did the same thing, bought panels and no companion fabrics. June says, I haven't counted how many I have. Well, I go to Husqvarna Vining shop. If you buy so much, they will put 1 or 2 panels in your bag. Someday I will. Now, that's pretty cool that they just give it to you. I guess they're not selling the panels. So let's go. I'm going to go ahead and sew this. I can take this pin out because it's just holding the pieces out of my way. So remember, I had to flip this back so that I could get to my start and stop spots that I got marked. But then when I start pressing, I'm going to press them back. So just make sure you always back stitch on a mitered corner. Where you start and where you end. Otherwise your quilt's going to come loose. And back. Now I'm going to stitch this one that I marked the line 1/2 inch over. I don't have to back stitch on that because I'm going to be squaring it up anyway. Apparently, I'm OCD about my pincushion, and that's about it. Orange has a spot, the blue has a spot. And that's about all I'm OCD about in my life. The rest of it is, oh, that'll work. Got my quilt out the way pretty good, so I was able to rotary cut that one. And all I got to do now is just press this seam open and another corner. So I'm 3 for 3. Another good corner here. I'm trying to get up close so you all can see it. But I can't see what you're seeing. Okay, so all I got to do now is press that open. Make sure this don't cut off by the time I stand up. And just putting those pins in, especially when you have a piece border, it keeps it from moving and making you have like a 1/4 inch gap. If you got like something that's very tiny, people won't see it. But if it's something that's a really big gap, it's going to be very noticeable on a mitered corner. And now I'm just flipping that part back up that I pressed down. So when I get over here to press it, it's in the right position. Okay. Trying to use my chair to help hold this up because it's so heavy. When I put it up here, it wants to come right back off. Still doing it. Yes. One more corner to go and we're finished. So another good press here on that. And this is the front. Just got to cut those dog ears off. Let me turn it back this way. Another good corner there. Okay. Now, if you have fabric that have repeats and stuff, they look really pretty. Border prints look really good if you center the same part in a mitered corner. A lot of Jenny Beyer fabrics were made for that kind of stuff. A lot of her prints, her border prints. Just get those dog ears off. And I got one more to do somewhere. I have no idea which corner. Let's see. It's not that way, so it's got to be the other way. Thank you, Helen. She says it looks great. So yeah, I just got this one last one to do. I just want to get it done now. I'll do something else for video. I just figured these fabrics were so pretty that they look really cute in a mitered corner. So that's why I decided to do this mitered. And when I'm pulling this back, I'm making sure that it's all lined up. My 1/4 inch, my seams on both sides are coming together, and I have no fabric tucked in there. It's all nice and straight. What size is that border? I don't forget, because let me measure, because I've been dealing with a lot of numbers before I came live. So let me measure. I cut a 6.5 inch border and I cut a 2 inch border. So 6.5, 7.5. So 6, 7.5 finished. So my border is 8 inches edge to edge. It's 7.5 inches finished, but let me make sure. And that's exactly correct. My border 2 pieces edge to edge are 8 inches. They finish at 7.5. Okay. And the reason why when I didn't know that was because I only got that measurement so that I could double it and add 4. So I never really used it. So that's why I had to think about it. Because once I was done using it, I know the inside of my quilt more than anything else because that number was very important. So now I'm making sure it's lined up again, working on this last one. Making sure my seam allowances are lined up so that they won't move while I'm stitching. And I got them pressed in opposite directions so they nest very easily. And I'm just putting some, like I said, holder pins. These are like my extra hands just to keep stuff flat. So when I start working with it, I don't have to worry about it moving. I want a blue pin. I want the big pins now. I'm trying to make sure I'm reading the comments. Kim says, I actually have stuff that will work with Halloween and Thanksgiving, but going to dig through stash to find fabric that will work. And that's what I always think when I'm buying panels, that I got something at home that will work. I think these brights, you really had to have the right brights, because some of my other brights will work with this and some of them will not. It was weird. I did find one that has like some little colored dots that I'm going to use as my binding too. It's not the same fabric, but it'll be okay for a little 1/4 inch binding. It's not going to take away that much. So you can buy panels also, but sometimes you don't get to pick what you want. Right. Jenny says, I checked and think it was 2017. I did my first panel. Turned out great. That's pretty cool. And I've only been interested in panels now that the new panels are out. I never liked some of the old stuff. And it was mostly like panels were more geared originally toward baby quilts and stuff like that. Thank you, Darcy. Says, look great. Kathleen says, T, you made me actually laugh out loud. I needed that. Thank you. All right, so I think I'm ready to mark. I think I have enough pins to at least mark, and then I can readjust them for sewing. Is mitered corner a Y seam? Yes, it is, because you're bringing up. You got a top and a bottom, a top and a left. Let's just say that, and you're not stitching a 1/4 of an inch. So you've still got those two pieces that's got to be stitched together. So and technically it is a Y seam. So yes, it is. Thanks, June. She says that's very nice, T. Sorry, but I have to say good night. Good night, Craft with Love. Thank you, T. You are inspiring. Well, we got one more to go. We want to see if we can outdo Murphy's Law here. I got one more. Ugh. It's like I haven't done these in a while, and I don't know why I stopped, because I do enjoy doing them. I just haven't done them in a while. Turn my ruler so it's going the right direction here. Right up against that edge, 45 degrees. No other degree will work. Well, they'll work. They just ain't going to be right. They'll stitch right on up. Trying to make sure I don't move the ruler this time. All right. Got one of these blue pins in the way. Pin it on the other side. And mark the rest of it. All right. I need that other ruler now for a 1/2 inch away, because it's thinner. Oh, I put it up too good. Couldn't even see it. 1/2 inch away. This is that extra piece I just don't want to toss in the trash. So if you did want this to be a 3/4 inch seam left on your quilt, a 1/2 inch seam left on your quilt top, then you would just make this 3/4 of an inch away. Doesn't matter. Oh, I had a pin across the seam. That's why it didn't work. All right. got a hanging nail that's a hanging cuticle on my fingernail. It's driving me nuts. I think I'm gonna cut it with my snips. And then I got to see over these glasses. I can see up close, can't see squat far away. Make sure I don't cut my hand. This is what you do not do. Giving myself a pedicure with my quilting utensils. All right. Last seams we got to sew here. And we're done. I want to finish this. Because then if I wait and something else come up, I'm going to be mad at myself if I don't get it done. Get it done while I got the designated time. I cut. Come on, get to work, Bernina. You going to sleep or what? You got things to do. All right. All the pins come out. I think I got everything out. And now we just cut this to get the two pieces apart. Good night, Vivian Calvi. I missed her too. The wide border is really effective. How small would you go with a miter? Is there a limit? No, because even if you just did the you can miter whatever you want to miter. If you want to miter a 1-inch border, you can do that. The whole point of mitering, though, is that you combine all of, if you're putting more than one border, to combine them all and then miter. And it's kind of like the attic window. That's a mitered border, technically on a block. It's just on two sides, the attic window block. And then this goes over there. Deal with those later. I may as well go ahead and get these dog ears off while it's flat. And that question, by the way, was from Helen. And June says, thank you, T. You make it look so easy. I have all, I have sister-in-law. She says she would help me do mitered corners, so she'll just do them. Yes. Especially if you got somebody there that's there to help you, walk you through it, and you can see every step too. Yes, definitely. And you got 4 corners, so she can do one, and then you can walk through the other ones while she monitors. So that'd be really cool. But I think I got 4 for 4, Tiffany. No shenanigans tonight. Got 4 perfect corners. Let's go ahead and press this one. Just got to make sure I get enough of this over here so it doesn't fall off the seam press. And we're actually done. Last corner. We're done. And I think, so 7.5 is 15. So my quilt now is 65, 66 and 15 by 83. Just so we know what the quilt is. So it's technically a twin size quilt now. So last corner, all of them turned out pretty. Very nice. I'm so happy that it's done. It wasn't, I actually, like I said, I enjoyed working on this because it's nice and bright colors. I got to play with these variegated strips that I put all up at the top. So they get darker. The ones on the bottom are darker than the ones on top. So I can just look at it and know what's the top of my quilt. This was just right up my alley. I don't know why I just wanted to sew all these multicolors, but this is just who I am. I love jewel tone colors. Now I do like pastels too, and I'm trying to do more of that because I don't do a lot with the pastel colors. I do like those too. But this one was just singing my name. And then I had the nerve to go do that other one where the video is coming out. I think you all are going to really like it. It's not just, put a border around it. So this is really cool. This one I still say was more like put a border around it. The other one's got a lot of stuff in it, but it's not hard, and I think it's very effective. And I might do it on some other stuff in the future. So I just love it. But measuring out will most definitely make sure that your quilt does not grow on you. And your corners are not going out wider than your quilt top. So I really enjoyed this. Enjoyed working with the panel so much, went and did a second one. And I got it just laying on my long arm. I got the back. The back that I pieced is already loaded. I just haven't started quilting it because I then decided I wanted to go and edit it. So I've been editing all through last night and up till 1:30, and then I started producing it so that you all could get it this weekend and not have to wait until Monday. That way you can decide if you want to do it, start pulling stuff to see if you've got stuff you might want to do with it. So I try to release it early too. I just got to go over to YouTube and do the final touches. Like when they upload, they take the regular title of your file is what they use. So I got to go and space out all the lettering, stuff like that. Add the playlist that it goes to, upload a thumbnail, stuff like that. It's the housekeeping stuff I got to do. But the video is on YouTube. It just has not been released. It did get uploaded it took until 5 o'clock today for that thing to get uploaded. But it's there now. So, let's see. Jennifer says, you have shown how to do a miter corner in a video about string borders. I know because I watched it slowly to learn. And I cheated on that because when you're dealing with strings, a lot of people will miter the corners on string borders. And that was a cheater miter, Jennifer, because basically it was half square triangles. When you're dealing with strings, nothing has to match up from the other strip, so it doesn't really matter. So I just used, and you're already piecing strings that are already making seams anyway, so it don't matter where the seam end or begin. So that was a cheater corner miter. But yes, I did. I remember that. Darcy, thank you. She's reminding everybody to hit the thumbs up. June says, Kevin, you need to be watching her more closely. She will be cutting her finger off next. What are you talking about with the scissor? Nope. I got that. It's gone. That cuticle. It was driving me nuts. Melissa LePay says, thank you for teaching tonight. What not to do included. Thank you. And June says she remembers that video too. Damali says manicure is the word. Oh, I said pedicure. I'm sorry. Thank you. I don't know. I was locked in on getting it, girl. But thank you, Damali. She says manicure is the word, not pedicure. Either way, we will do as you say and not as you do. I understand how annoying a hanging cuticle can be. Melissa says, love the attic window. Can you do that? Can we do that in December? Why December? We can do an attic window. Sin Forrest says, hi, T and sewing friends. Sorry I'm late. We're about to leave. Welcome anyway. You can watch the upload. We came in now at 8 p.m. So I'm not sure if you know that. So I'm just letting you know. Let's see. That's Tiffany. Yeah, glad you made it, CN. Teresa says 4 for 4. Whoop whoop. Yes. And Tiffany say, let's see. Talking about that final corner. Yep. Thank you, Tiffany. She says, nice tea. Benita says, it's beautiful. Love all the colors. Thank you. I can't wait now. I got the other one on my frame, and I want to quilt this one too. So I want to quilt the other one. I want to quilt this one, but we'll get them done. Kim says, gorgeous tea. Thank you. It's vibrant and joyful quilt. Love it. Thank you, Quilty Graham. Melissa loves it. June, love your quilt. The Molly says, Miss T, that is so colorful. It makes me smile. Yeah, and I think that was probably what happened to me on the trip when I saw the quilt. I've seen many quilts while we were on the Iowa Shop Hops, but for some reason, it was just all of my colors, everything that I liked, the black fabric with the confetti colors, and I think it was just everything that I would probably have put into a quilt or a fabric line if I had made it myself, you know. So it was just gorgeous, and I just couldn't resist buying a kit. Like I said, it's very seldom that I buy a kit. I would have bought the panel and then walked on about my merry way. But no, what did I do? I liked the entire quilt. Even the quilting that they had, it was, I forget the name of the panto, but I know I got it. And it was just like long rectangles with curving corners, and they were different sizes. I just liked the entire quilt. Kathleen says, I think the strip set it off wonderfully. I love them. Yes, and that's why I couldn't understand. I didn't realize that they didn't give me the fabric for the final border until I opened it up. And then her statement, which, you know, that's her opinion, and everybody has an opinion. But she says, we did not add the last border as it destroyed the look of the quilt. A striped binding will finish this project. And that's her opinion, and that's absolutely wonderful and all. But she has a whole line of bright fabrics in her store that any of those would have looked good as a border. So I didn't fully understand that when it worked for me. I think it looks great with a border. So I added one. So, but that's pretty cool. Connie says it's lovely. Thank you, Connie. Kim says, good night all. Take care. Stay safe. Be blessed. I am exhausted. Thank you, Kim, for your help tonight and communicating with the folks in the chat. Appreciate that. She might be long gone 6 minutes later. Helen says, great project. Inspiring. Thanks. And I don't even have the pattern here. The pattern is just called Trifecta if you want to buy the pattern. I'm calling mine Radiant Trifecta because of the fabric line. Okay, it was singing, TT, come use me. I'm beautiful color, laughing out loud. That's from Darcy. Yes, it was. And you got to remember, it was probably day 2. I hadn't bought any fabric. And yeah, I think it was day 2. And this was at a shop that was actually on somebody's farm, okay? We had shops that were on a farm. And it was actually I could have just stayed right there on the farm with that was the one that had the dog on it. I could have stayed right there with the dog and all. Okay, T, I lied. It's not just the panel I love. Nope, it's the whole thing. Yeah, I think that confetti fabric with that panel, it just sets it off when you've got that confetti fabric that's in the background print already in the panel as a background too. I don't see that too often, and that's what I think is so different about this fabric line. Janet says, great job, so beautiful, love it. We'll give the corners a try real soon. Please do. William's here. Hi, William. He says, Malunga, he says, I am glad your long arm is fixed and the quilt is beautiful. Lucky to be on the live, laughing out loud. Yes. Haven't communicated with you in a bit. And Jennifer says, that's right. Melissa says, block swap, January, I guess. Oh, girl, you something else. If you think people are going to miter corners for attic window, it would be a cute idea. I know what you're saying now. Okay. That's a lot. People haven't even done a miter corner for a border. That is funny. Vicky says good night, all. Good night, Vicky. Kevin says June. Miss T wouldn't listen to me anyway. Laughing out loud. Refer to day 2 video of Iowa shop hop. Laughing out loud. Don't go getting all pesky, Kevin. Come on. You should quilt it with variegated thread, T. I already got that too. I got variegated thread already pulled for it. Tiffany says good night to those leaving. Janet says beautiful quilt. Watched your video on July quilts. Love the K-facet quilt. Love how you did the blocks. Really showcased the fabrics. Just beautiful. Good night, all. Enjoyed. So yes, thank you, Janet. Appreciate that. That was one of my, I really enjoyed making that too. I did sew that doing the live chat as well. But I enjoyed that whole process with that. And I try to pick, you can cut K-facet small, but sometimes I just like for large scale prints to be as large as they can. And so that's why I did that pattern. And I even cut my pieces larger than the pattern even required on that. So I really enjoy working on that K-facet quilt. I really love it. I haven't used it yet, but I love it. I have waiting to do show and tell everywhere with it. I've shown it to my small group. We had our first large group guild meeting. And they told us we could bring 3 things to show and tell. And then when we got there, they had a business meeting instead. They said show and tell was going to be our meeting. They didn't say anything about a business meeting. And then we get there, they have a business meeting, and we can only show 1 quilt for show and tell. So I ended up showing the patriotic quilt because I was going to be giving it away. So I haven't gotten to show it. Kathy says, good night, everyone. And T, see you next weekend. Bye-bye, Kathy. See ya. Kayla says, T, are you going to do another wood order soon? Email me what you want and I can see. I just got an order in on the wood press and stilettos. I haven't done another order yet. I just did one. I'm trying to remember if I did it before I went to Iowa or afterwards, but I just did one because I just got it back. So, but if you need something, just let me know and I can try to see when I can get it for you. Good night, Kathy. See ya. What else? Video tomorrow. I'm gonna try. Maybe I'll do a 9 a.m. release so you all can start, especially y'all that's got panels already. You can start going around. Now, also in this video, I do say that if you don't have panels, you don't have to go out and buy a panel. You can make some blocks and then put borders on them or border anything, even just one plain piece of fabric, and then you can do some fancy machine stitching in the middle. You don't have to have a panel. If you've got a floor print or even a piece of K-facet, cut it to the size of the panel. You don't have to have a true panel to do the project. So just keep that in mind whenever panel projects come up. You don't have to have a panel, so you don't have to still go out and spend money if you want to use what you have. Darcy says, good night, everyone. Stay safe and have a wonderful night's sleep. So with that in mind, we don't have any more comments. I'm just here stalling. I'm going to go work on the YouTube stuff, YouTube business of my video. And then I'm going to get it so it releases at 9 a.m. and I don't have to wake up to release it. And then we're going to do that. Okay. So good night, everybody. Thank you all so much for coming. I appreciate your time, especially on a Saturday night. And you all stay safe, be blessed, and quilt out, everybody. Good night. And also, don't forget to comment tomorrow about whether you like the next panel project, whether you do it or not. Just let me know if you like it. Okay? Bye-bye.